Okay, for today, I'm doing just a little bit of backup for do you remember some things you're supposed to know? One of which is the law of sines. So here's the law of sines. Sine A over A, sine B over B, sine C over C. And in case you had forgotten how this works, here's an example worked out of how you could find this mystery side here. We labeled it B. You could have labeled it with anything you wanted. You could pick A, B, and C to be whichever corners you want. The original problem had only the blue writing, so these were the answers that we figured out along the way. So if you want to remember how to do law of sines, that would be good. Then, law of cosines. This was our setup for law of cosines, and in this case, you didn't get to pick whatever you wanted. You had to pick that this side would have to be called C, and the angle that we know. We use this when we have a side angle sandwich, like side angle side. And then when it was all done, we stuck in this. You could call this A or B, didn't matter. This A or B, didn't matter. This had to be C, though. And then you got 12 squared plus 12 squared minus 2 times 12 times 12 cosine of 35. And the nice part is that's all just numbers you can crank out and you get an answer in a calculator. And then at the end, I just hope you remembered that you have to take the square root. Did you do the square root at the end? Awesome. What did you get for a final answer for C? I would call Dice of Destiny to see who I'm going to ask. It's row 1, person 1. Wow, that doesn't happen often. 7.2. Can anybody verify 7.2? All right, probably depends where you're around, but good. Everybody's verifying that. That's awesome. That means you remember how to find, well, really, didn't you just find the distance between here and here? I want you to just think about that. Didn't you just find the distance between 2 points? Now, you didn't use the distance formula, but you found the distance between those 2 points, right? Okay, the reason I'm saying that is that this next lab that you're about to do is called, well, some people call it the distance lab, and it's the distance between roots. Do you remember finding like the 5/5 roots of 2 or whatever? That was on your last test. Most of you did it. Some of you had some trouble with it. You get a second chance right here because about half the points we're going to assign you on this lab are just, can you find the 5/5 roots of this? Can you find the 4/4 roots of that? And you get a partner and you get time, and we just got to make sure you get that whole concept. Okay? Then once you find the roots, you're going to graph them using Wolfram Alpha. Right now I want you to pull up the lab. I'll show you where it is. I'm pausing for a minute. So here we are in the labs folder that's on Schoology. And you're going to be, this is called the complex numbers lab. So you're going to open this file right here. And I'm going to open it up in its PDF form. So I'm going to scroll down. Come on, computer. And all your assignment is for tonight is you're working on this lab. And you are going to do the very beginning part, which is to find the roots. Then later, you're going to find the distances between those roots when you graph them. So let's say that you graphed the roots for this, and there's 3 of them. Let's say one's here, one's there, and one's there. You're going to find the distance between those points. How do you find the distance between those points? Well, I gave you a little warm-up where we talked about finding the distance between some points, okay? And these points are equidistant this way from each other, and so that helps the idea of how to find those distances. All right, but for right now, you're going to find here they are, solution to that, which some of you are going to not recognize as actually a find the 3/3 root problem, but it really is. Because if you're going to solve this, it's set equal to 0, right? Now I'm going to say z to the third equals 1, and then to solve that, to get z alone, I have to find the third root, right? Put it to the 1/3, and then this looks a lot like I'm taking 1 and I'm going to find the third root of it. And how many third roots are there? There's 3/3 roots of it. But we usually did it in cis form. Can the number 1 be written in cis form? Sure it can. So first of all, you got to think about what does 1 look like on the xy plane. Put a dot there. Then figure out what it looks like in cis form. Once you've got 1 written in cis form, which along the way there, you're going to realize it's 1 plus 0i, right? Okay. Now, you're going to find the 3/3 roots. It's just like what we did on the test yesterday. Find the 3/3 roots of 1. Okay? Then, here's the next part that you're going to do at home. You're going to find the, what do you think that means? The 4/4 roots of 1. And they're different. Don't think, well, I've already found the 3. That's when they're 4th roots. The 4th root's different than the 3rd root, of course. And then there's the 5/5 roots. Half the points on this lab, which is a lot of points because we're making this lab out of 40 instead of 20. Half the points on this lab are, can you find the 3/3 roots, the 4/4 roots, and the 5/5 roots of 1? Okay? So that's what I want you to tackle right now and for the rest of this hour is, and write this up in the lab because remember, this is a lab. I gave you a nice file. It's all clean and everything. It's got the directions here. Underneath it, it's got the format for all labs. And, oh, it doesn't. It has the height of the Commons lab. My bad. I'll fix that in a minute. And then it's got room for you to write. And in this room, that's where you would find the 3/3 roots of 1, 4/4 roots, etc. All right. So, your homework for tonight. I just wanted to remind you about law of cosines and law of sines and how you might be able to use those to find a distance. And then for tonight, you're just doing the 3/3 roots, 4/4 roots, and 5/5 roots of 1. You're gonna need a lot of space. Show your work really well. Half the points on the lab are that. And then tomorrow we'll make some leaps about what we can do with these using Wolfram Alpha, which I had you pull up earlier. And Wolfram Alpha can do some cool stuff. All right. That's all you're doing for tonight's homework and the rest of this hour. And then I'm going to hand you your test back in a minute. Okay?